Well, hello all. We're back with another story. This is a rare treat for you bass players. For those of you who do not know what this is an early 70s acoustic Black Widow bass that was manufactured by the Acoustic Amplifier Company at that time. The original versions of these were made by Mosrite. This one happens to be one of the import models. Someone has changed the bridge to a Leo Quan. This bass is actually in for a refret because the customer that bought it was having problems playing it. Frets are very low. They're only about 23 thousandths tall at this point. It's had some abuse. The truss rod nut is very roughed up. I've already checked it. It's still secure. I'm going to try to get this nut out, clean it up a little bit, and lube it up. There is a nasty dent here on the side of the fingerboard. It's got a few nicks, bumps, and scrapes. We've got one there. Got a pretty nasty one here where it's been banged. One of the things about this bass is you can see the serial number here at the end of the fingerboard is actually stamped in it. We do not want to mess with that any. This is one of my concerns while I'm doing this bass, is I may actually have to scrimp on the fingerboard work a little bit, especially up here, because I do not want to bother that at all. I want the serial number left intact. You see, some of these basses, the Mosrite models especially, are quite rare. Someone's bringing several $1,000s. I say this is an import, but it's still quite valuable. Let's flip it over here and let you check out the back. They borrowed something from Gretsch here on this. We have the pad. There's our Black Widow. Originally these snapped on like the Gretsch ones did. This one's been screwed on. We've got two neck bolts here. The third neck bolt is actually there. These basses were quite hot for the time. The pickups were a pretty hot wound pickup. So anyway, we're going to get on with this. We're going to tear this down, start pulling the frets, get it set up here to where we can start working on it, get it on the neck jig, and get on with our fret work. Something I noticed here when I was talking to the owner is something about zero frets that really bugged me. The original concept of a zero fret was that it's supposed to be exactly 1 fret high, meaning you don't have to cut a nut for it. Something I find a lot, very commonly, is when they use a zero fret, they use a much larger zero fret than the standard fret wire. So of course then it makes it much higher than it's supposed to be. This nut is actually probably 2 to 3 times higher than it should be. Well, the zero fret is actually higher than it should be. So we're going to correct that too when we do the refret. So we're going to get on with this. We're going to get this guy torn down and underway. I'll get back to you. Well, we made it to the neck jig. We've got the neck all trued up. We managed to get our truss rod nut out, cleaned up. It was coated with rust. Cleaned up, lubed, put back in, so it actually operates quite well. We've got the fingerboard all trued up. We had to actually sand out the serial number. Had to make a choice here. There was quite a bad kick up at the end of the neck. So basically, if he wanted to play it from 12th fret up without any dead spots, we were going to have to sand this down. The upside of this actually is I can restamp it. I've actually done it on Jackson's before. I guess I can do it again here if I need to. So I took a tracing of the serial number, measured the spacing on everything, and we will put it back later. The fret slots have been cleaned out. The fret slots have been chamfered properly. Took a little bit of time and actually swelled out what I could of that dent that was in the side of the neck and filled the rest of it. It's not perfect, but it's much better than a huge gaping hole. We are ready for frets. So it's been just a bit over 2 hours here. We're moving along pretty well. We're back at the neck jig. We have all of our frets in. They've been trimmed, rough leveled. Actually, the frets are so level on this at this point, I could probably get by with just doing very minor fretwork on it, but that's not the way we roll. I've gone ahead and jigged it up. I'm going to make these frets perfect. Plus, being on neck jig actually makes it easier to trim and fill the ends of the fret slots. These have the ends of the slots filled so that you don't see the end of the tang of the fret wire. So it's done like a guitar with binding. It's just filled at the ends instead of having binding there. So we're going to get on with the fret dress and get this little fellow rolling. Well, we have our frets all dressed. We still need to put our 0 fret in. We're going to check a few more things up before we finalize that. We have our serial number restamped. That was a bit touchy. So, let's move this thing off the neck jig and move on. Here we are. It's been a few hours, but we're all finished up. We've got a refret finished. We've got a great action on this bass with the basically tilt neck adjustment. What I did was I put the neck almost flat, since there is not an actual pickup height adjustment on this. What I did was I made the neck as low as I could, then adjusted the bridge around it, and actually our pickup heights come out just about perfect. So that worked out. We have our re-stamped original serial number. Hated to do that, but it was necessary. And I actually matched the improper spacing from the original, so no one will know. Don't tell anyone, alright? So anyway, our 0 fret's the right height. It commanded exactly the right height at the first fret once the relief was adjusted properly. So we're all set. I also trimmed a couple of the bolts here on the Leo Quan, because the way this was, this intonation bolts actually would come up and almost hit the couple bass strings here. Can't have that. But actually the height on the bridge saddles is very low. It's not had to be cranked up because of an extreme neck angle or anything. So we like that. everything's all good. So we're going to get this back in the customer's hands. All in all, it's a pretty nice bass. Kind of rare. Makes a good story. So until next time, play nice. I'll see you later.